Samantha and Mark were ecstatic when they finally found their dream apartment in the city. It was a beautiful building with a spacious layout, large windows, and a stunning view of the skyline. They couldn't believe their luck when they managed to snag the last available unit. The couple quickly settled into their new home, excited to start their new life together. They met their neighbors, who seemed friendly enough, but something about them seemed off. It was as if behind that friendly smile was a past full of sinister memories. However, Samantha and Mark brushed it off as they were too caught up in the excitement of their new home. But as days went by, strange things began to happen. Samantha noticed that her neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, always seemed to be sharpening knives in her kitchen. Another neighbor, Mr. Smith, would often be seen carrying large garbage bags out of his apartment late at night. At first, Samantha thought it was just her imagination, but then she started to piece together the odd behaviors of her neighbors. She confided in Mark, but he dismissed it as her being paranoid. However, Samantha couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about their neighbors. One day, Samantha found a newspaper article in the trash chute about a serial killer who was on the loose in the city. The article mentioned that the killer's signature was to sharpen his knives before each murder. Samantha's heart skipped a beat as she remembered seeing Mrs. Jenkins doing the same thing. Feeling uneasy, Samantha decided to do some research on her neighbor. After hours of digging through public records, she discovered that every single one of her neighbors had a criminal record, and all of them were for murder. Samantha was horrified. She immediately called the police, but they dismissed her claims, saying that there was no evidence to support her theory. Mark still didn't believe her and thought that she was overreacting. But Samantha knew she had to do something before it was too late. Determined to prove her suspicions, Samantha decided to do some investigating of her own. She snuck into her neighbors' apartments while they were out and found evidence that confirmed her worst fear. Mrs. Jenkins had a collection of knives and other weapons hidden in her kitchen, while Mr. Smith had a room filled with strange and disturbing objects. Samantha also discovered that the building's landlord, Mr. Peterson, was the mastermind behind it all. He would lure tenants into the building, and then his neighbors would kill them, making it seem like accidents or disappearances. Samantha was terrified, knowing that they were living in a building full of serial killers. She tried to convince Mark to leave, but he refused, thinking that she was just being paranoid. But Samantha knew she had to get out of there before it was too late. One night, while Samantha and Mark were sleeping, they were abruptly woken up by a loud noise. Samantha quickly realized that it was coming from their neighbor's apartment. She looked out the window and saw that Mr. Peterson was dragging a body bag into his car. Samantha and Mark knew they had to leave immediately. They packed their bags and ran out of the building, not looking back. As they were driving away, they saw the police arriving at the building, and they knew that they had made the right decision. The couple never looked back and moved to a different city, trying to forget the horrors they had experienced in their old apartment building. They never found out what happened to their neighbors, but they were grateful to have escaped with their lives.